Thank you very much, Program Directors, Dr. Noche and Jessica. I'm quite excited that you declared that Matthew Goniwe is playing a role in what you are becoming. Seated there, I'm sure the board shares the sentiment that there's a role that we play, recognized by those who are recipients of our programs. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My task is very simple. It's just to say to you, welcome, and sit down. Let me thank the CEO really for having handled the opening item in a very excellent way in which he did. I do not want to explore the risk of not acknowledging very important people in the room. We must always do so that to ensure that the institution is carried in the public domain and gets sustainable. So in doing so, don't mind if I repeat the acknowledgements that the CEO has done, because I must do it. I must acknowledge the family, the Goniwe family, and the representatives of the structures in the Lingelihle community, and really appreciate their commitment to coming all the time to be with us as we celebrate the legacy of our icon, Matthew Goniwe. Let me also, on behalf of the board, acknowledge the presence of departmental officials, the executive of Matthew Goniwe School of Leadership and Governance and staff here present, who play a very significant role in ensuring the sustainability of the organization, the backbone of the institution. The MEC for Education, Sports, Arts, Culture and Recreation, we're told is on his way. The former minister in our country who has held, I think, 5 or 6 portfolios in this country, has conducted herself with a great amount of integrity and has become a role model to many of us. Dr. Naledi Pandor, we really appreciate her coming to be with us to share thoughts about what can be done to take forward the complex task of transforming our education system. We really are pleased to have her in our midst. Let me acknowledge the learners from Dr. Milif Oliphant, SOS, acknowledge your coming, and also acknowledge the teachers who are accompanying you. If teachers are empowered, we see it through the learners. And we really appreciate the efforts that those teachers are making, the conductor and others, in making sure we nurture this kind of talent. Thank you for that hard work you're doing, despite all the challenges. Let me also welcome the SGB associations. I saw 2 or 3 of them here present. The teacher unions, RCLs, here invited. I saw the CEO of Saibono, our counterpart in the training space. I am not sure if the CEO is accompanied by board members. If they are here, let me also welcome them. This is the 11th annual Memorial Lecture that we do to recognize the legacy of our struggle icon, one of our unsung heroes of our liberation struggle, Matthew Goniwe. When this institution was born in 2002, it was when an idea arose that, given that we had come into the new dispensation, how do we bridge the backlogs? The idea was born of a training institution, and those who were there at the time took it upon themselves to name this institution after Matthew Goniwe. It couldn't have been much more appropriate than that, because he was a teacher by profession, and this institution's mandate was, among others, to develop teachers and deal with the training backlogs that we have had. That we have had teachers with standard 5 who could stand before a classroom and teach, because of the deliberate apartheid regime which ensured that we do not receive quality public education. Now, the new government has had to deal with that aspect, upskill them, make them much more competent, so that as they mediate teaching and learning, they empower those learners, so we produce patriotic and productive learners. So it was a huge task. 6 years after the birth of our democracy, 2002, it was a very huge task. And from that time on, the institution has been traversing this difficult path, nurturing, shaping its programs, change of leadership, change of the board, change of MECs over time, from the then Mary Metcalf and others, all of whom really indicated that the education system needs such an institution, including the current MEC, who so much believes in the institution, its role in ensuring that we continue to train and develop our teachers, school management teams, school governing bodies, district officials, RCLs, and so on. So we take a moment each time, every year, to reflect on the gains and the setbacks that we have had. But because we are not an isolated entity, we do so and invite valuable stakeholders in the education system to put what we do in the public domain, but also share thoughts from others, as you would hear from the MEC later, from the keynote speaker later. What are the thoughts, current thoughts about the education transformation trajectory in our country? What must be done moving forward? Over time, the board took a very deliberate decision in endorsing the values that will guide this institution. Deliberate because we understand that we carry a very big name, and that as we carry our mandate, we've got to be able to at least emulate what Matthew Goniwe sought to do. Those who were with him and those who read about him always come to a conclusion that he was a disciplinarian, that he was a prolific maths and science teacher, that he was not just a teacher but a community leader. So he believed in collaboration. He carried himself with integrity at all times, a revolutionary professional, because he understood that his task was not just X and Y in maths, but the ultimate was to liberate ourselves from the shackles of apartheid. And he did that task diligently. So you'll find some of the values that I've mentioned in our books. These are values that we have approved: collaboration, integrity, professionalism, Ubuntu. Those are the values that the institution has carried, at least up to now, to ensure that we keep the legacy alive. We have sought to make ourselves the leading training and development institute in the country and beyond. And in everything that we do under the leadership of the CEO is to ensure that we live up to that particular vision of becoming a leading training institute in the country and beyond. Currently, programs are offered in Gauteng, but we have resolved that we must expand in our efforts to becoming this leading training institute, expand our services into other provinces and become a national institute. Work has been done in that direction, and we're hoping we're traversing that route successfully. Not only did we resolve on that question, we resolved on a very important question, that we must evolve into becoming a higher education and training institution. And work has been started in that direction. The coming into life of the Bella Bill brings additional huge responsibilities on government to provide resources so that we ensure that grade R is brought into the mainstream. There's a lot of work in that area. Training of practitioners, infrastructure, and a whole range of other things that must be done. We believe that Matthew Goniwe will occupy that particular space, especially the issue of training the practitioners and developing a formal qualification that will attain, which will make them professionals in the system. So this is how we have evolved as an institution, and we take this moment to interact with you in sharing ideas about how best we can traverse this route collectively, in ensuring that the challenges that we still have, many of whom are stemming from the legacy of apartheid, can be overcome in a collaborative effort with Matthew Goniwe at the center of that education transformation drive. So as we gather tonight, we hope that the keynote address will empower all of us so that we consider new ideas as we reposition the institution into becoming a fully fledged higher education institution. The timing could not have been much more appropriate. October is a month where the world is celebrating teachers. And we're celebrating this teacher in October. It couldn't have been much more appropriate. And the running theme for the current period is value the voices of the teachers, which is what we seek to do all the time, so that we understand their needs and respond to their needs, so that we can be able to help them produce productive citizens and patriotic citizens. So as we converge this evening or this afternoon, we believe that this lecture, among other ventures that the organization undertakes, to put it in the public domain, to share ideas, to innovate, will be part of the ventures that help us, all of us, to understand the current challenges and what needs to be done moving forward. And doing so, I wish that this memorial lecture be fruitful and that you will find it worth having come here as we depart later this evening. Welcome.